set, we're set. Alrighty. Let us begin today's Board of Trustees meeting with the Pledge of Allegiance, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I got it.
First one,
Oh, thank
Richard
you.
Clark.
Debbie? Oh, sorry. All right, to begin Library Trustees meeting, let's review the minutes of December 22nd, please. We saw those online. Are there any additions, deletions from those minutes?
There was one correction, maybe I just the date.
Yeah, it was before you said that.
Oh,
So
okay.
this is correct.
The 1/22/16.
Yeah,
And the 2016 date for the next meeting.
that's right.
I'd like to make a motion that we accept the minutes as corrected.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any other questions? All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Unanimous, thank you very much. Moving right on to the Director's report, please, Karen.
Okay, in front of you, you have our January to date programs. I have listed all of the things that have been going on this month so far. It's been a busy month. People coming back from holiday and getting started with the story times, and we've been busy, busy, busy. I'd like to just mention a few things that are coming up, not just for the remainder of, oh golly, did I print the wrong one? No, I guess I didn't. I never took the Star Wars movie marathon out of there. Anyway, we have a Lego contest going on in the library that runs through the end of January. It's open to the public, and we are going to be displaying the Lego structures through the month of February, and voting will take place through the month of February by the public. And we will choose some winners on March 1st, I believe. If you need further information, please contact the children's room at the library. We have Winter Wonderland afternoon movies going on Thursdays through the month of January at 3:30. There's no registration. We just ask that children are accompanied by an adult. And snacks are provided by friends of the library. Also, I should mention that the Lego contest winners are sponsored by Friends of the Library as well. We have winter story times that have begun, and they run through March 18th. There are a couple of sessions that are full. I'm not sure, but there might be 1 or 2 spots available. So if you haven't signed up already, do check with our children's room. Kids Craft Club runs the Mondays, January 25th, February 8th, February 29th, 6:30 to 7:15. Those are ages 5 through 12. We do ask that people register so we know how many materials to get. Also sponsored by the Friends. And something new coming up in February, I'm not sure I'm pronouncing this correctly, Pokemon Yu-Gi-Oh! Club. Thursdays from 3:30 to 5. That's every Thursday in the month of February from 3:30 to 5. It's open to those ages 7 through 14. Registration is not required, but we do ask that you bring your Nintendo DS, your games, and trading cards, and join in the fun. Flipping over. On Friday, February 19th, we will see the return of the Zoo Show. Records and Burpee will be visiting the library at 10:30 to 11:45 in the children's room. There's no registration. This is sponsored by Friends of the Library, and it's always big fun to see the animals, and the kids enjoy it a great deal. It's a big day. We will have family movie night on Monday, February 22nd. Wizard of Oz will be shown. There's no registration. We'll be serving popcorn. And of course, the 15-Minute Readers Club and 1,000 Books Before Kindergarten are ongoing programs, and if people are interested, they can contact Kathy in the Children's Room. Those are both sponsored by Friends of the Library. Going on in the teen room, when have we ever had 4 things going on in the teen room, huh?
Great.
This is all due to the efforts of Miss Kathy. She's taken on teen programming and is doing a bang-up job. First and foremost, we've had our first teen book club January 4th. We had a couple of kids come and they enjoyed it. It was a smashing success. They brought books they were reading and talked about books they might read. This is kind of we're just getting started. So 2 very enthusiastic teens is better than, a dozen not enthusiastic teens. So there's no registration for this. Actually, I'm sorry, my mistake. Registration, we do ask that people register by calling the library or visiting the CERC desk, and that's just because we serve pizza and we'd like to know how much to get. Also sponsored by Friends of the Library. The dates for this are Mondays. The first Monday of the month, January 4th, has happened. We will have it again February 1st, March 7th, and April 4th, and it runs from 6 to 7 p.m., and after that, when we get around to April, we'll see how it's going, and if it's going well, we'll continue on. We have a winter reading challenge for teens. For every hour of reading, we have some raffle buckets in the teen room. Teens can enter, and will have a chance to win a $10 gift card to a local business. Haven't exactly chosen the businesses yet, but like Pizza Place, book lovers, things like that. Sponsored by Friends of the Library. This next one is the Youth Advisory Council meeting. It's Wednesday, February 17th at 10:30 in the morning. That's school vacation week, so we have a lot going on that week. So you might notice it's heavy. All the programming is heavy for that week. This is the first meeting of this new group. Miss Kathy is hoping to get teens in to talk about things they'd like to see going on in the library, programs, and get them involved. So there's no registration for this, and hot cocoa and munchies will be provided, courtesy of Friends of the Library. It's open to those in grades 6 through 12. And finally, in the teen room, we will have Teen Craft Day on Thursday, February 18th from 1 to 2. I believe Miss Kathy they will be making gumball machines. Rather clever, I saw a picture of them. And we do ask for registration, also sponsored by Friends of the Library. Any questions on children or teen, collectively known as youth services? Adult programs, we have our Monday movie matinees. Those are Mondays at 1 o'clock, and popcorn is provided. There's no registration, and I mix it up, show a smattering of classics and contemporary movies. So we're gaining ground with that. I'm getting more and more people, so I don't know if it's just winter time and people want to come and eat popcorn and be in a warm place. Every Monday from 6 to 7:30. This is ongoing, sponsored by Literacy Volunteers of South Central Massachusetts, is our Literacy Cafe. It's for those needing assistance with their English language skills. There's no registration, and all are welcome. That's been averaging about 2 to 4 people on Mondays. So again, this is one of those that I measure the success on the effectiveness, not really on the amount of people that show up, but the more the merrier.
And are they repeats, or are we seeing various?
There's at least one person who's, mostly they're repeats, because it's, they kind of build on what they learned,
Right.
But it doesn't mean that if you haven't shown up, you can't show up for the first time. It's one of those things where the gist of it is, if you're new to the English language and you want to learn conversational English so that you can, go to the store and, have an easier time communicating with other members of the general public, this enables you to do so. So it's not so much, schoolwork.
Grammar type.
It's exactly, it's conversational.
And I must admit, I went to one of these in Worcester, and actually during a session, and there were like 10 people there, and the participants commented how it helped them just survive and get ideas off
Right.
of other people of where do I go when my
Yeah.
kids need this, and where do I go for a doctor.
Yeah.
They work together besides
Network.
learning English.
Some networking opportunities.
Networking, yeah, it did
Yeah.
help. It was
Moral support.
exactly.
You know, it's tough. So yes, definitely. We have knitting at the Pearl every Friday from 10 to 12. That's a fun group. There's no registration. You're welcome. People are welcome to come, bring their current project, get help, maybe even learn a few things. Our genealogy group will meet on January 28th. That's a week from today, as a matter of fact, from 6 to 7:30. There will be a presentation on Daughters of the American Revolution by Anne-Marie Safai and her mom, Adelina Healy. They are both members of the DAR, and they'll talk about, what they went through to get into the DAR and, so forth, and talk about, what it takes. So that should be very interesting. Chair yoga will be starting up again for 2016. We'll have 4 sessions of 6 weeks apiece. And the first 6-week session begins Wednesday, February 3rd. It will run through March 9th. It's from 10:30 to 11:30 in the Fells Room. No registration. Also, again, taught by Joanne LaLiberty. Wear comfortable clothing and bring a positive mental attitude. It's a great group. So, hope to see people showing up for this new season of chair yoga. That is also sponsored by Friends of the Library, I want to say. Couple more things going on in the month of February. On the 4th, from 6 to 7, that's a Thursday, is our monthly book discussion. We'll be discussing Orphan Train by Christina Baker Klein. There are books available still for checkout at the library if anyone is so inclined, and refreshments are provided. And finally, on Thursday, February 11th, we are pleased to welcome back local author and professor Lisa C. Taylor for a writing workshop. It's very exciting. She teaches writing at Nichols College and has a great following, and I've had some really positive feedback, and we decided to invite her to do the workshop at the library. So we'll see how that goes. We do ask people to register at the library by either calling or visiting. This writing workshop is sponsored by Friends of the Library. So really looking forward to seeing Lisa. I just want to mention real quick that January is our Friends of the Library membership drive, and people can download an application from our website or pick one up at the library. And you can tell by all of the programs that I've mentioned and stated at the very end that it's sponsored by Friends of the Library. I would say a good 75% of these programs are sponsored by Friends of the Library. So they support our programming because we don't have a programming line item. So without them, we would be nowhere. Between them and the Greater Worcester Community Trust. We depend on them. And it's not a lot of money. You can join up, and we appreciate it. And we thank all of those friends who are current members as well. Now, on to some assorted items. Our Patty Bazanowski, who's been out on maternity leave, returns on Monday for 8 hours a week. She'll be back on Mondays and Fridays to start out with. She's looking forward to it, and we're looking forward to it. Holiday closings, obviously the next one coming up will be President's Day on February 15th. We are continuing to review the long-range plan, and I do not have the children's librarian updated position description. I would like to table that until February, if that's all right. The backup server that we included in our warrant article is now installed, up and running like a champ, and I'm delighted that I don't have to, check the one that was limping along every single day and pray that everything was being backed up. and it's a big relief. It's similar to the one that they have here at Town Hall. It's the same kind of situation. It's off. It's backed up to this server, but it's also off-site backup as well, so we're covered. We will not have another disaster like we had last year. That's a big relief for us. February is Library Lovers Month, and as we did last year, we are going to do a gift basket for a lucky patron. People can register or fill out a ticket, a raffle ticket at the circ desk upon checkout, one entry per day. And we will also be having a fine forgiveness month in February. $1 off. We did this 2 years ago during Library Lovers Month, and I think it got away from us last year, but it's a nice, these are all nice things to do for our patrons, and also this fine forgiveness benefits a local food bank, and it's $1 off Dudley overdue fines up to a $5 maximum with a non-perishable and non-expired canned food item. Bring your food item in and get $1 off your Dudley only overdue fines. And that does not count lost or damaged items. That's just strictly overdues. I gave you some handouts on the legislative agenda this year, and I thought I had emailed everyone with a listing of breakfasts.
I don't recall seeing that.
No, not
If you emailed that yesterday, was it?
I'll resend it.
It
We
didn't.
did.
It would have said legislative agenda.
Uh-huh.
It didn't say legislative. It didn't say breakfast on it anywhere.
I'm on one of their email lists, so I get things from them all the time.
Yeah.
So I checked it out to see what it was.
Would-
I'd appreciate it if you would. Thank you.
Yes.
Did you notice that it looked like Worcester was the closest one?
It was.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Mhm.
that's right. I will be going to that one. I forget what date it is. It's
At the 12th, February 12th in
yes,
Legion
in
One.
Worcester, 8 a.m. Bright and early.
Yeah. At the main library?
Yeah.
All the rest of them were kind of far away.
Mhm.
But you know, you're welcome to go to anyone. It's just that our legislators tend to go to the ones that are local
Yeah.
to us.
Yeah, Whitensville would probably be the next closest.
Right. So, before we get to the budget, let me just give you a quick sign update, okay? Because that's easy and quick. Joel's been in touch with me, and the sign was due to be delivered from the LED, light manufacturer to them today. And then, of course, Graphics Unlimited has some things to do to set it into, the framework. And so I expect that we will, weather permitting, see that sign in the next week or so. They've got some structural things to do with it and do some testing. Yes, so that's really all I have to say. Other than that, when I drove in this morning, I noticed there were big boxes over the footings. So they must have been thinking, we
Snow's coming.
we better cover those things up or we won't see them anymore. I hope that doesn't happen. But anyway, so that's really all I have to report on that.
This is, again, I continue to be amazed by the variety, the depth and the breadth of the offerings at the library. And I think, in fact, while we were at the last Board of Selectmen's meeting, Selectman Joseph made mention of that himself, that he was equally impressed, or maybe more so than I am. I'm not sure of that. One thing I would like to add, and I don't know if this is for the audience that might be listening, but I've talked to the people at Elderbus, and actually spoke to one of their drivers, and they will deliver or bring people to the library. It's $1.25 in town, and if you're in an adjoining town, it's an extra 25 cents per town. The only restriction they have, and I did ask specifically if someone were handicapped or blind, the driver will not leave the bus. So someone would have to
Assist them.
potentially at least assist the person onto the bus and meet them at the return and getting them back into whatever their home situation is. But obviously, the library is handicapped accessible, as opposed to the conditions I think I see in some of the local communities, more so, much more so. And I think that's something that those folks out there who may be restricted, especially during the winter months in terms of their travels, might want to avail themselves of. And the library is a warm and welcoming place, and the more the merrier. And obviously the number of programs there, certainly plenty for everyone.
How would one get in touch with the folks at Elderbus to let
There's an
them know?
800 number,
Okay.
and there is a website.
Okay.
And they do service, there's 21 communities. Dudley is one of them. Oxford is not. But the Southbridge, Charlton are included.
Okay. I will put the number for Elderbus at the front desk, so if people are interested and they don't have access to the internet or need some, just pick up the phone, call the library, 508-949-8021, and we'll give you the phone number. And just one more note, if they won't provide assistance, I think the person, if there is someone who's needing assistance and the driver doesn't provide that, whoever's providing them assistance onto the bus would probably need to accompany them to the library as well.
And I think that person, I'm not entirely sure of this, I think that second person may ride free.
Got it. That makes sense.
But please not be quoted on that. I'm not 100% sure of that, but I think that's at least a possibility in any case.
Well, thank you for checking into that.
Does the Dudley Seniors put out that little newsletter
Oh, yeah.
quarterly, or I'm not sure it was.
Yeah.
Do they still do that? Could we maybe get something, information put
In
into
there.
that? That
Yeah.
would be an
Nice to have
excellent.
it, yeah.
Yeah, because it goes out to the right group.
They have a webpage too off of our website.
Do they?
Seniors.
Okay.
So
Okay.
if you want to put it on that, we can put it on that.
And just say, get the pertinent information and just put a little blurb on in these different
Again,
places.
with the weather that we're about to experience or typically have this time of the year, there are opportunities for folks, especially that elder community and those people with disabilities, the opportunities to get out are probably much more limited this time of the year than they would normally be. So the library certainly affords them a lot of opportunities that otherwise they may not have access to.
Right, and throughout the year, those without
Oh, certainly,
transportation,
yeah.
those without transportation, just to be able to get out and they can come spend a couple hours and
Go to
participate.
chair yoga?
Participate in some of these activities,
All
yeah.
the snacks and popcorn, there's nutritional advantages. Or maybe not
I
nutritional.
was going to say, we may not qualify for good nutrition, but fun times,
It's very
yes.
good for you. It's topped with 100% coconut oil, which is very good. Okay. Shall we take a quick look at the current budget?
Certainly.
Okay. Do I have one?
Did you keep one? Do you need one?
Oh, yeah, here's one. And the special accounts, they do match up with the town accountant's
Yes.
balances. I like to make sure that those all match up.
Thank you for sending that over, Debbie.
Yes.
So we've spent a little over 50%, doing a little better than last year, and hopefully we won't need too much out of our state aid. We have received the first half of our state aid award for FY16. Hopefully the second half won't be less than the first, but we never know.
Excuse me, there's an acronym up there, column F, current year expenditures from TAMI.
Sure. TAMI stands for Total Allocated Municipal Income. That is basically what the town gives. That's my allocated budget from the town.
Okay.
Otherwise known as TAMI.
And that's another fun.
Tammy was very generous. I just
Didn't know who she was.
I'm saying that out loud. Sorry. Did you just snort?
No, I didn't.
Anyway,
You
yes,
made me.
Richard, there's going to be so many more acronyms.
okay.
Please pipe up because I
All
will
right.
explain them to you. Trying to think of any other. Another one you may see is the MAR, which is the Municipal Appropriated. Oh my God.
Requirement?
requirement.
Requirement.
And that is, that's a state of Massachusetts thing, and basically it determines whether we qualify for state aid. We have to meet a minimum amount. And the first year I was here, and I think prior years to that, I'm not 100% sure, if you don't meet it, you have to apply for a waiver from the state of Massachusetts. And I'm thrilled to say that as of last fiscal year, we did not need to apply for a waiver. We just scooted in right on above it, and this year again we did not need to.
Yeah. Yes.
So-
The supplementary budget will be good
Yes.
this year.
Yes. So, the budget still is not where it needs to be, but it's better than it was. So we're going to look at it that way. And the waiver, I'm proud to say that there were 49 municipalities that needed waivers this year. We were not one of them. So how can there be a fly alive? But anyway.
They all live in
And indoors.
So yeah, we're moving in the right direction. It's been a positive relationship, I think. So
Just looking at the Reading, what did we spend last year on telephone? Is it about 600? I see next year you're requesting 600. Is it about 600 we spend on telephone?
no, it was about 300, and that's because now we have the fire line.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, that doubled it
Yeah.
for sure.
Yeah. Right. Thank you. I couldn't figure that out.
That's why I always, when I do the bills for you guys, if you see telephone, I'll always put in parentheses line 2 or fire line,
Thank you, yep.
so you know.
Yes.
Because usually it's one, then the other, then the other, then the other. So
Excuse me for my ignorance, but what is the fire line? Is that direct to the fire station? Or?
no,
Oh.
it. A couple of years ago or last year, I don't remember. Last year, we used to have monitoring by the town. Anyone jump in if I'm incorrect about this, because this is just, my recollection is a bit foggy. And then last year, the town decided they weren't going to do that anymore, cost purposes or what. And so then the town hall, all the town buildings needed to find a company to do the fire monitoring for them.
Okay.
We all went with the same company, obviously, for economies of scale, I'm assuming. It's Signet? No. Simplex or Signet? I'm getting two of them mixed up, because one's security and one is fire. And essentially, it required us to get a dedicated line into the library so that thank you. When the fire alarm goes off, that line is used. It's a dedicated line. It's a requirement. So we had to have that installed.
Okay.
It needs a backup line as well, but I have a sort of a line 2 in the library that I was able to use as that kind of backup line should line 1 be incapacitated. So makes sense?
So does that account for the $600 versus $300?
Yes.
The difference is the $300 for
Yes.
this dedicated line. Okay.
Because line 2,
Does
it
that have
was
anything to do with that dispatch center, the town, in
No.
conjunction with other communities? Was involved
That's
in
the
that?
police,
That's police.
That's police
Yeah.
entirely? Okay.
I think. Correct me if I'm wrong.
Well,
I agree with you.
Yeah, because we still have the fire, Yes, so that was, yeah, it wasn't trivial to have all of that work done, trust me.
No.
That right there, that took years off my life, trust me. Yeah, so, but it's all in place and working properly now. It's been tested and tweaked. And any other questions?
yes.
Lay it on me.
Well,
We're talking about the current budget, right?
We're talking about the
current.
current.
oh, I'm sorry.
Just current right at the moment. Good catch.
We'll wait.
I have a question on the current budget.
Yes.
We haven't used anything from special accounts, because we just used the budget. You got a
Yes,
town
I don't
meeting,
use,
right?
yeah, I don't tap into, I probably use some gift funds for some
appropriate.
Yeah, exactly. And I don't usually fill out that column until like the very end when I have to figure out what I've,
okay.
yeah, exactly. I do have,
Because I thought that was unusual. And it's January and we haven't used that.
well.
But then down here, some of these went down.
Yeah, exactly. You'll see, but see, if I were to put, I don't have anywhere to put sign because I don't have a capital line or something like, you know what I mean? If let's say for
No, I mean like one of these items, right?
Mhm.
If you use something for materials from a gift account, that would be in this column, correct?
yes, and you'll start to see that populated as I go along. I just,
No, I think it's a good thing that
yeah.
you don't
No,
have
you
to tap
usually try to
into
do
those
that at the
things.
very
Yeah.
end.
I do,
That's usually June.
Yeah.
May and June.
yeah,
We're
like,
talking about special accounts, right?
yes.
Yeah.
Here's
Okay.
a for
Answered my question.
Here's a for example. I have a lost and damaged book revolving account, and I don't usually tap into that until I have to. So, and I definitely try not to. I never tap into state aid until I have
Yeah.
to. The other special accounts that might show up there would be from the gift funds. If I were to use something, from the gift fund, I just did that this week for a puppet. Someone gave us $60, and it was designated for children's. And Miss Kathy asked if she could purchase a puppet thingy, and we bought it. And so I bought it through Amazon, and so you'll see on the Amazon bill that,
Gift account.
yes, gift, $59.99. So, typically that might have fallen under, expenses, or, we used to have a programming line or a children's line. I've kind of put those into expenses now. But that would be something I would put, you'll see that show up here towards the end of the year, because that's how I show what it takes to run the library
Right.
in the real world. You know what I mean? So I don't want to not reflect that.
Right, okay.
If it's over and above what I would expect normal operating expenditures, I probably wouldn't put it in that column. If it's just a nice thing to have, maybe a want versus a need.
Like your puppet there, your puppet
Yeah,
theater,
exactly.
whatever.
So,
Versus towards the end of the year, when we are running out of funds, we go to state aid first to run the budget. And that's why we're running out of state aid.
yeah.
Because we've been doing
Exactly.
that for 5 years, we've been doing that.
Yes, because I do have a materials expenditure requirement that I have to spend 16% of my bottom line on materials.
Okay.
That's a state mandate. So I have a certain amount, and trust me, I have it taped right to my computer. And if you don't spend that, you may not qualify for state aid.
That's part of the MAR formula.
That's part of the MAR formula. You'll have to. That would cause us to have to get a
So
waiver.
that is a minimum, but you can exceed that.
Oh yes, absolutely. Yeah, yeah. I've gone slightly over, because it's hard to hit it right on. So, but I definitely don't go under, because if you're $1 under, they make you get a waiver. So, if you're 50 cents under, they make you get a waiver. So anyway, but they have to do that. They can't be wishy-washy about that.
Irish State Current, so that's...
Right. So, and then lost books, I start tapping into that to replenish items that have been damaged. And I keep a list of things that I need to reorder, and I'll start reordering those, getting them back in the system. So, any other questions on that?
I
Thank
noticed
you.
on the aide salary, there's an adjustment, $9,842. Is that the increase, the additional person?
Yes. That's Tasha.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, wait a minute. It's Tasha, but also they did not fully fund my staff without Tasha.
Okay, so it's existing,
Existing
Personnel
and,
in addition.
yeah, exactly.
When we,
Let me just
I
clarify
was
that.
going to say, when
Yeah.
we got the supplementary budget, it's that, at the bottom of that line, the adjustments, the 17,000, that's our supplementary budget last fall, because we were underfunded. And in past years, when we didn't get supplementary funding, it came out of state aid in May and June. So we've been underfunding our aid account for years. And we would have to, come May or June, we'd have to fill it in with state aid.
Yeah.
And we made the case that we're running out of state aid, and which we are. Because We've been using it for 5 years, and so they very nicely have funded the supplementary budget of $17,000, and therefore we got our AIDS account up where it should be.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions on the current budget before we move on? Okay, great. Where are we?
You want to do next year's budget?
Yeah.
Well, can I just ask, when something goes into the red, though, do you have to specify where you got it from?
No.
The column, the CMA has, you're in the red, and the phone just moved into the red, I mean, $1.80, but still.
We're a bottom line budget.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, we're bottom line budget, and we have to make sure that's reconciled by the end of the
Right.
fiscal year. But this is for our benefit to know how we're running the library and for
Exactly.
budgeting in the future.
right. Essentially what I use when I,
Yep.
So you know it, you just didn't show it.
okay. So I guess,
Karen, do you have any additional budget pages? I realized I have 2 of the 3. I printed 2 of 1 page.
Which page do you need?
I have the computer upgrade and the open Saturdays.
So you need number
Adult
3.
services.
What I call number 3.
Adult assistance.
There we go. That's number 3.
Thank you.
does anyone else need any of these?
I'm good. Thank you.
Well, yeah, actually, I don't have any of them, so.
Oh,
I just have the-
Oh, I'm
the
sorry.
summary that Ben printed. I couldn't get into it. 2 and 3, and then I couldn't print
Yeah, I
1.
have that one.
Thank you. I saw them, but.
you can see where they kind of, one builds on the other.
Right.
Computer upgrade.
The explanation is mentioned 90% of
Saturdays.
comparative towns.
I call
It's
number
the Saturday, September to June.
Yes.
Okay.
Without the services.
Do you have the middle one? As far as the numbers go?
Like a
How many?
Which is it? Just one, Saturday, September to June.
Yep.
There we go. There we go.
Be right back to you.
Okay.
Okay, Richard asked a question about, I guess it would be, it's number 1, 2, and 3, because
Yes.
it's basically number 1, proposed FY17 with adjusted staff, salaries, and computer upgrade. The reason that I'm asking for staff salary adjustment. I'll address that first.
Okay.
This has been an issue that has been ongoing for many years, that our circulation staff and our children's librarian, and I guess to a certain degree the director's salary as well, although not to the extent of the others, have been vastly below what other towns are paying their staff.
Other towns of comparable size.
Of comparable size, correct. So, and it's not just the library, it's throughout the other town departments as
Right.
well. So at the last, during the last warrant, article, the last warrant, town warrant award, the town administrator had done a comprehensive review of some positions in the town hall and based it on, his methodology was using, I want to say, 10 or a dozen towns that were comparable to Dudley. And he adjusted salaries within the town hall, and those were made during the last November warrant. So those were already awarded to those positions. And there were several positions within the town that were adjusted. And the library was not done during that time. It was not addressed. So I spoke to the town administrator and said, I guess we're up next. And
So you were using the same algorithm that he used?
I absolutely asked him for every single thing that he used. He gave me everything and said, here's what you need to do, told me what to do. I used his same exact methodology. And his argument, the reason it says 90% in answer to your question is because, he didn't think that we could afford to be 100% competitive, but we could maybe afford to be we could be 90%.
Now, is that 90% to the average of the comparable towns?
Mhm.
Okay.
So basically, here's what I did. He gave me a list of towns. I did my homework. All of that information, thankfully, is available through Mass Board of Library Commissioners because we all do annual reports. Yes, we do annual reporting of all of our numbers. So I was able to, and I also called up some of my counterparts in these towns to make sure the numbers were correct, and got the numbers and plugged them into a spreadsheet. Then I averaged them all out, not counting Dudley, and took that average and took 90% of that, and that's how I arrived at my numbers. So,
And the calculation that the town manager used, was that including the 2% COLA?
I don't believe so because that won't be awarded until the next, that won't be awarded until, because all of those adjustments have taken place already.
I'm going to say 2 different fiscal years.
Yes,
Okay.
He was in last year's, we're going to be in next year's.
Next year's.
Yeah.
I would love it if we were in last year.
All right. Just kind of staying with that thought for a moment, if you will, that in terms of the 2% COLA, how did you arrive at that number?
That was, they give us the number. They give us the percentage. The town administrator.
The town administrator?
Yes.
Okay.
For building next year's budget.
Right.
I understand, but
No,
maybe I'm questioning something we can't answer here because I'm thinking in terms of where that number may have come from. For example, I think the Social Security, for example, used the statistics or numbers from the Bureau of Labor Statistics, I believe it comes from, in terms of the Consumer Price Index. And there was no increase in Social Security going into 2016. And in fact, the Consumer Price Index, I think in September of this year, actually went down. So I'm just wondering where 2% is coming from. Is it based on federal figures? Is it based on local numbers?
You would have
It's
to.
historical.
Yeah.
It's historical?
That's what the town always usually
always been.
recommends when we go through our budget process. They always
All
say
right.
2% is what, you can ask for, you might not even get that.
Right. Now, to be honest
It's
with you,
just
I have a little
historical.
heartburn with that because I think it sets up a certain expectation level. People think that they're automatically going to get a bump, if you will, every year. Not that I'm opposed to increasing salaries, but I think I'd probably lean more towards the merit-based rating as opposed to here's an attendance award, if you will. You've made it through another year, so we're going to give you 2%.
Well, that's-
I'm not sure that I
That's
think the
something
logic
else.
comes essentially from union contracts that have been negotiated over years, and we're not union in terms of the library.
Well, a lot of us in the town hall aren't union. But,
I understand.
yeah, and I've been here almost 13 years, and there were some years you didn't get anything.
Oh, I know.
So I think.
Believe me, I've worked in the private sector, and there have been many years we didn't
Yeah.
get anything.
So-
In fact, we went back, if you will, in
Yeah.
terms of less than. So
think the notion
it's not
that-
an unusual circumstance by any
Right.
means.
That's-
I'm just concerned that somebody might think that this is something of an entitlement program if you see it
None
going
of us
forward.
think that.
I can assure you with a very high degree of certainty that no one thinks that way.
Yes,
Okay.
exactly.
And based on Karen's comments, about looking at other towns and what we make, a lot of people in the town hall are underpaid. So I think the
Oh,
thinking
no.
I'm not arguing. I'm just saying the thinking of the board of selectmen and town administrator trying to get people
Right.
up a level, so the 2%
Well,
at least
nor
is
am I.
something
Nor am I.
to move people
Please
along.
don't take it as an argument.
No,
It's just a
no.
discussion. And I understand that people in the town hall are underpaid, and I fully appreciate that people in the library are underpaid. I guess I quibble with that usage in terms of the terminology. For example, the Board of Selectmen's meeting, there was an agenda item. They wanted to increase the mileage, if you will, to 50-something, I forget the exact number, 50-something cents a mile versus 47 cents a mile. I spoke to that. I mean, the price of gas has gone down tremendously. I mean, we're looking at $1.81, I think, up the street. If you go to Southbridge, it's cheaper still. Where did that number come from? I never got an explanation for that.
I know where it came from. It came from me. It
Came
came from
from
the
you?
IRS.
The IRS?
Yeah, and I wasn't trying to bump it up, to be honest. I was
Yeah.
just I mentioned it, and Greg said we're going to put it on the agenda, which I didn't
It
even ask
really
him to.
wasn't,
No,
It
no, well, I
wasn't-
just, I guess I'm
no one
questioning.
asked to increase it, it's just that like every 5
look
years
at
or
it.
so, they look at it.
I
Yeah.
understand,
So
but
that's
and
where,
one
it
of the
was an
reasons.
IRS number, it
if
actually
I-
went down from 58 to 54 this year
Right.
because of that.
Okay, well,
Yeah.
one of the reasons, coincidentally,
Last
one of
day
the
at
reasons
49,
that was
so.
given as explanation for no increase in Social Security was the lower price of gas. I'm not sure, maybe the folks in Washington are not speaking, I'm from the same side of the street on every occasion here. It looks like they're going, I mean, obviously, some of the numbers are skewed, the old business about numbers don't lie, but, liars figure or something to that extent. It just seems that maybe it's an inconsistency at the federal level, but I do question, whether people might not see a cost of living allowance as something as a expectation going forward.
Well,
No.
it's for planning purposes.
I understand.
Anyway.
And there's no guarantee we're going to get it. And that's what the employees of this town, I know. I don't know what, I can't speak to other towns,
Right.
but this town just hopes they get it, but it's never a guarantee.
No, I understand. I think it's a way we're
So-
we're
so
trying
that-
to use that, I believe, if I understand this, as a way to try to address what we identify as certain imbalances with regards to wages, Dudley employees relative to those in adjoining or.
Oh, 2% ain't going to do that.
No, but it as a mechanism to move in that direction, if you will.
Any other questions on, so anyway, getting back to, that was the salary part of it. And you can see the budget for 2016 and then the requested budget. And so those increases are as a result of that exercise that I did between budget 2016 and requested budget 2017.
Okay, now computer software / IT, CONTR control.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's about a 71% increase.
yes, and that's my IT and software on the right-hand side.
Right.
That includes the server backup, which we did not have the year before, it will be $4,800 a year. I'm estimating I'll need.
That's the off-site server?
That's on-site
On-site.
server, but off-site backup as
Backup.
well.
Okay.
Okay? And it's monitored by them as well. This is our IT company. We farm that out because I don't have an IT person.
No,
I try to do the desktop updates myself. Not religiously, but I try. And I estimated, the block time, the IT block time, I'm speaking over to the right-hand side for
Right.
everybody. 1,500 at $150 an hour. That's what they charge. And in fact, I try to get an answer out of CW Mars IT people about something that they were not, they're not required to help me with, and they sent me an email saying we can help you with that, but we charge $150 an hour. I'm like, damn.
Now, if you don't use those 10 hours, they get carried over to the next year.
Absolutely, yeah.
Oh, okay.
This is an estimate based on what I've used in time with them in the past. So,
So that could be more, it could be less.
precisely. I might not get it, but if I don't ask for it, then I definitely won't get it.
So the increase is $49.25. It's which of those individual items went up to the greatest extent? Was it the server backup retrofit?
Well, that didn't go up. That was never there.
That was never there. Okay,
Right.
so that's the
It's
largest
pretty
part of
much
that
right there,
increase
yeah.
then. Okay.
The retrofit, I think I did put in for that, then I didn't get it, and I ended up using state aid for that last year. We had a disaster last year. We had a server disaster, and so
Okay.
that ate up all of my block time, and I really don't have a lot in the bank right now. As Deb pointed out, you can bank that, and then thank God I had some in there. I ran out. I was subject to their $150 an hour. Actually, it was more than that because the block time, they give you a deal. It was awful. So I didn't want to run into that situation.
And we had time banked. I'm cor-
We
correct
did,
me
but
if
we
I'm
didn't have
wrong.
enough.
Right, because when we built the library, we were able to put buy time. So
Yeah.
we've been working off of banked time.
Yeah.
Okay.
So now we're running out of that, so
Yeah.
now it comes into the budget.
Yeah.
We had a few things when we built the library that we could pay forward and prepay. And so we had a few of these contracts that are just now running out, which are going to be added back into the annual budget process.
If I may, how does the town handle IT services? Are they dealing with the same provider? Or?
It's me.
Hello.
And we also have block time with IT, so things that I can't handle, then I
Same
call
company.
them. So
Okay,
I
that's
also
the
have
same
block
company.
time with
All
them.
right. So we get something of a discount, perhaps, if such is
I
available?
think they're pretty good to us.
They are.
Okay, thank you.
Let's see.
Notice utilities. in that
Spectrum,
19%.
I just want
Oh, I'm
to finish
sorry.
up with IT.
Sure.
Let's see. Oh, the antivirus license, that we did a 3-year, and that's going to be up in 2017.
Okay.
So I had to include that. That's $1,500 for 3 years. So you're not going to see that for a couple of years.
Got it, yeah.
Okay? And the rest of this is standard stuff. Okay? And then building and maintenance contracts, we might as well, since that's in the same column, I'll go down the list here. Eyewitness is new because they went over to a yearly contract. Siemens is the same, they held it. Signet, none of these, you know. Gurney, Renault, Casella's the same. None of these are new. I just, in the building and maintenance line item, I put $1,000 in there for incidental repairs because I found that last year when I looked back over my expenditures, I didn't have any money for things like, okay, this toilet sensor didn't work, and those things that was $550, you know. So if I don't account for that somehow, then it has to come from somewhere.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
So I threw that
And
in
if
there.
The building is aging, obviously, we're 5 years in now, so
Yeah.
things will happen.
Are these all contracts?
Yep.
These just
Yeah, that's why I wonder whether.
Except for the
that was my
incidental
question. Yeah, the
repairs,
custodial.
Except
Custodial's
for-
not listed as a contract.
Thing,
I
right?
mean, it's maintenance,
Oh.
building maintenance contracts, but it's not under the list of building.
Where?
maintenance.
What?
Custodial salary?
Well, there's two
Oh.
things. There's custodial, that's why I want to
No,
know.
because it's in the because that's a custodial salary, we
Is that
kept
the
that.
outside?
No,
Yeah,
but
that's,
down-
we
That's
still
the
pay for
outside
that out of,
service?
yeah.
Down several, there's building maintenance / contract.
Yeah, I
You
know.
accounted for it, it wasn't listed
So,
under the building maintenance contract.
They've gone up 26%, $1,800? Is that the,
Where are
Well,
you?
we're
I'm looking at the same building
One at a
maintenance
Well,
/ contract?
The first one was less than a year, wasn't it? Oh, it was 2016 on the year?
Oh, is that it? Was
I don't
this
know.
Not a full year?
That's that.
Okay,
We
it might be a
used
full
to-
year rate.
We used to share custodians with the town.
Right, I understand. Now
Yeah.
this is a single.
We don't have, now
So
we
is
have a
that
contract.
why I bought that?
Well, that would be a result of the $1,000 that I put in for the incidental,
Okay.
the eyewitness systems, which we did not have the year before, and I probably planned for increases in, you know,
So it
certain
is
other
not
areas.
a increase in terms of the custodial service that we are.
Custodial's
buying.
not listed under building and maintenance
It's not.
contracts. That's listed under the salary area because that had,
Custodial salary. okay,
yes,
I see.
it had been paid. We actually paid a person out of, you know, that line item. And when we hired the company, we just decided to just keep it that way because we're not sure we're going to continue on with them. This was experimental. So,
Do we typically put something like that out for bid, or is that?
no, it's
No,
not
it's not.
enough money.
Okay.
So,
Right, but the point in terms of the budget though, both of those line items. There's custodial salary that's a line item and there's the contract.
yes.
This is a line item.
It's not a contract, though.
Well, it says building maintenance contract.
That's
That's
this
different
list.
thing. I told
That's
you
this
that.
list here.
It does not- it's
That's
not
that list here.
custodial.
It's, yes.
Why don't you change the wording to like custodial services?
Contracts
Could you?
are like these,
It's right here. It's that list.
It's kind of
That number is from
maintenance-related
there.
issues.
Oh, that's the idea.
As
That's
opposed
that,
to.
that's that
Ah.
list. That's that list.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's the detail.
I don't have a contract with Fleming's. It's just a month-to-month thing, as if I were paying a person to come in and do it just like I was
Okay.
before.
Oh,
That's
I
why
thought that was a custodial contract.
Right.
we just decided not to
It's a
move
salary.
that. Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
So it's in lieu of, so it's not double counted, okay.
No. You just, yeah. They didn't realize this was that number.
Another question, if I may, in terms of utilities,
we're looking at a 19% increase there, $4,800 or so year over year.
Well, the utilities I based on my FY expenditures to date. I got 25.2. I factored in my expenditures to date, and I kind of extrapolated from there any increases because the utilities always go up. So,
And then you're going to be open Saturday.
And we
Or
want
you
to
want
And-
to with this budget.
yes,
Right.
that,
Right.
yeah.
So
And I
yes,
didn't
obviously,
change that.
Additional
no,
there.
for
Okay.
Yeah, and as Debbie pointed out, I'm shooting for opening on Saturdays. I'm not. I
Okay.
kind of did some calculations, believe it or not. I did a little agonizing over that, but it's such a moving target. Like some of the year requires a little bit of air conditioning.
So
and-
that $4,800 increase in utilities on the first offering that you had, as far as budgets that is not identified as open Saturday, September to June, you put that in there so that you could carry it forward to the others?
I
Well,
put another 3,000 in. I see for number 2 and number 3.
Right.
Okay.
Another
That's-
3,000 on utilities over and above the, I'm looking at is 30,000?
Well, again, it's
Yes, I see
30,000.
that. Okay, so that there, the 33, that is in anticipation of Saturdays.
That's correct.
All right, so I guess the question still in my mind is the difference between the 25.2 and going up to 30,000. or
Well,
4,800.
That's because I am going to be spending more than 25 too.
Again, 25.2 was what was in the budget.
Right.
But did not.
And we're exceeding
We
the
used
budget.
more, we always do. And for several years, we used the utility line to lowball it, and then we put state aid into that in May and June. Why? Because it was easy to pick one thing to really lowball. And
To your point, I see there's an adjustment, $5,000 adjustment to the utility line
Yes.
here on the yearly budget.
40% remaining.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I'm looking at my utility line, I'm looking at my expenditures, I'm looking back a couple of years to see where, okay,
Right.
when am I really going to get whacked? And I'm anticipating that I'm going to be, well over the 25.2, maybe not well over, but I'm going to spend more than that this year. So then I just added on a percentage, from
What's
there.
a big driver in that, electricity?
It's gas and electricity.
Yes, electricity.
Yep, those are the biggies. So, with this first one, I also included a computer upgrade of $10,000 in the equipment line to replace staff computers and the staff printer. Now, I'm not 100% sure I'm going to get that, but if I don't start putting that in there, they're coming up on 7 years old, and I'm starting to see signs that they're needing replacement. And I didn't put anything in there for software because, or I put a minimal amount in there for the software. We'll need, obviously, new software to go along with them, new productivity software, because
How many computers are we talking about?
we have 8 staff computers. I basically called my counterparts at a couple of libraries who have been replacing computers, because we have lunch every now and then and talk about this stuff. And I said, what, in general, what's the average that you spent on your computers counting software? And they all said about $1,000. So then I added in a couple of thousand for a printer, because ours is an all-in-one printer. It faxes, it scans,
Okay.
it slices, it dices.
Is that the one the public uses?
Popcorn?
Is that the one that's for public use as well?
Yeah. Well, that's
Is that the one that the public would be printing off of as well?
No,
No, that's a separate.
we have 2 separate networks.
Okay.
So my thought process was, I've got a lot of computers at the library. I got to start replacing these at some point. If I don't start putting it in here, it's going to have to come from somewhere.
Well, minimum 5 years old.
Yeah, and the computers would have been in place well before the library opened. Anyway, I started to say that I didn't put a lot in there for software because when I upgraded all the computers at Killingly, my previous position, I went through an organization called TechSoup. you've heard of them.
Yep.
And it's great, and it's really a minimal amount of money for the productivity software. Obviously, they'll come loaded with an operating system. So I would go through TechSoup because I already qualified us. Because I was paranoid. I just went on the site and qualified Dudley. So it's like $40 for
Right.
the
I used to
entire.
purchase it years back at the
Exactly,
library.
yeah.
Mhm.
I know, like $42 for one workstation. So
Wow.
Yeah, it's
Good.
really, really low. It's
Yeah.
a great.
these are ballpark figures. So, I'm putting it in there, and we'll see what happens.
Right.
And I figured the reason that I went with this for my number one is I think this is what I need at a minimum. And now I would like your, do you see anything I need to tweak? And by the way, Richard, just in case you're wondering, down on number one in the explanation, the little part that's in blue, state mandated.
Right, the 16%.
Yep. Okay, that is just a moving target. So depending on what my bottom line is without the materials number, that's what I use. It's a formula that I have, and so I'm constantly recalculating that. Every time we make a change to any other line item, that changes.
That changes.
Okay?
So, well, that's fixed, if you will. That's something
At
that you
16%.
can't
Fixed at
really
16%.
negotiate or
Oh,
change.
What's not fixed is the
The more
bottom.
we get for the budget, the more we spend on materials. So that's-
Questions? Comments?
I'm sorry, go ahead.
The endowment fund,
Mm-hmm.
I should know this, but what can that be used for?
That is on paper to be used for enhancements and enrichments for the library. And we primarily use that for programming.
You're talking about the Hugh and Harriet Crawford?
The big one, yeah.
That's not the big one. The big one is the Crawford Library. The smaller one is the Hugh and Harriet Crawford.
So the 1.2 million?
It's the
Oh,
same.
that-
It's the same verbiage, though. They're
Oh,
both.
the same
It's the
yeah.
same
Oh,
verbiage.
okay.
They're both for enhancements and enrichments.
They are, I will say this, it is explicit in that it is not to be used to operate for operating expenses.
So-
Yes, let me put it that way. That is in there, and it goes to the extent to say that if they, I don't have this sitting in, an account somewhere. I apply for it, just like I would apply for a grant. And if they deem it as an operating expense, they have the right to deny it.
This is the
Greater
people who-
Worcester.
oh,
Greater Worcester.
The people who hold it.
I don't know how
manage
that's
it.
invested, but I suspect that number's probably come down since the beginning of the year.
It goes up and down.
Yeah.
It
Well,
fluctuates.
Like
Yeah,
everything
The
else.
stock market has been...
But it's not based on
Not
one
equities?
quarter. It's equity. It's a mix, but it goes over. I think it's 9 quarters. It's an average. It's based because it's pooled with over
Okay.
$100 and some odd million.
So it's not a daily calculation?
No.
So for instance, if I would like to install, when I installed lighting in our periodicals area, which was it was kind of dark down there, that's an example of an enhancement to the library that I wouldn't ordinarily have a line item for that. That would be considered capital. So we would use it.
And we could survive without it. We've been
Yeah,
5 years
but
without it,
Do
but
we get some of those
Yeah.
workstations in the children's library? Those
Yes,
we
the
need?
early literacy
Right.
workstations were also
So Hugh and Harriet.
grant,
Gift
yep,
grant,
gift funds.
yeah.
So-
Perfect.
Those, we feel that that's staying within the scope that the Crawfords were trying to have us stay within.
right.
Just
So,
one more, if I may, that CW Mars IT/data, looks like that increases somewhat, about 29% or so.
yeah,
That's
that's
a given, that's something we don't have any control over?
precisely.
Okay.
That's our consortial assessment, and that went up. That went up a lot. In fact, I was just talking to Cheryl at Charlton, and both of ours went up about the same amount of money. We're like, what's up? So
It's a state budget.
it's the state budget, exactly. CW Mars, all of it boils down, kind of trickles down to the consortiums in Massachusetts, and the money that's that's allocated at the state level impacts the consortium's
Right.
ability to give us a break.
Right.
And that's why these legislative agendas and legislative breakfasts are so important.
But it's a consortium is also the source in terms of interlibrary loans, things of that sort.
Oh, yes.
And I have to say that I've taken advantage of that a number of times during the year, and
Yeah.
I'm amazed at how quickly things go up.
Yeah.
It's just incredible what's available and the
it's
speed
awesome.
with which those requests are responded to.
Yeah, so that went up. In fact, you'll see on this year's budget that
Is that user-based? Have I driven that number up myself?
No, I don't think so.
Okay.
That's
You're not getting kicked
No.
back.
That's state of Massachusetts based.
No, it's not user-based. It's not how much we use
Yeah,
the
yeah, yeah.
interlibrary
Okay.
loan.
Yeah.
No,
It's the
no.
size of the library, number of computers.
Exactly.
too, and-
All right.
Yeah,
exactly.
there are lots of different factors that feed into that. But you can see in this year's budget, they had an adjustment because of a cut to the state budget.
Oh.
See that $301?
Mm.
On this, but on this.
On this, okay.
Current budget in the red, that was a bill that we got from CW Mars because of a state budget cut to the Mass Board of Library Commissioners.
Okay, well, thank you. But it's a valuable service, I certainly.
Oh,
Yeah, it
yes.
So,
increases the size of the library
Absolutely.
hundredfold at
Exponentially.
least.
does someone have to leave at 4:15? No.
Not yet.
Okay.
No, we're good.
All right. Is that all the questions for number one?
I have a question.
What?
On the aide salary,
Yes.
on the 3 different budgets.
Yes.
It only goes up higher on 2 and 3, where all the other salaries stayed the same for 2017 except the aides. Is that
Right.
because of Saturday?
Yeah.
Okay. And then do you know what the percent increase is from 2016 to 2017 if you give that 90% of comparative time? Towns
16%.
plus. Oh, okay. Thank you.
From 249 to 302? Is that what you're talking, the bottom line?
No, the salaries.
Oh, just the salaries.
Just the salaries. I was
Okay.
curious, because most people are asking for 2%. And
So we're
this is
talking
a-
55,683 going up to 64,552.99?
Well, but wait a
That
minute.
would be-
This is the 90% is that's the adjustment.
Right, but I'm just saying, with the adjustment and the 2%, it's 16%.
It's a difference of $8,869.99 that
For
I
all
calculated.
the salaries.
Right, and that
Okay.
would be
That's what
16%.
I'm asking, yeah.
Yeah.
Actually, you had the formula embedded in the worksheet. I just put the numbers in.
Yes,
Oh,
that's
okay.
correct.
Okay. Yep.
Yeah, I mean, it just, unfortunately, it shows you how below
Yes.
the salaries
Right.
were. I think the least egregious one was the director's salary.
That's 3%.
So,
But with those two numbers, are we also
You can go to the
keeping
site.
filling the position that Tasha has filled? We have added another position in there too, haven't we? Because Tasha's going to stay on with Patty coming back, aren't we adding?
we
Are we
had
filling that?
5.
Yep.
We never had the 5th one since I've been here. That person had been either let go or quit,
Right.
and we never filled the position.
Okay.
That was
But we have now.
Yes,
So we've added another position.
that's right.
In that number, it's not apples and apples because we have one more body in there.
Right.
It's 5 people instead of 4.
Yes.
Okay,
I mean,
so
that's-
it's not 16%
No.
or 4 people, but
No,
it's 16%.
no.
Because it's.
Thank you.
Oh, yes, good
Yeah,
point.
We have another body in there.
Right. Oh, that's an excellent point. So
Yeah. Yeah.
the distribution is
Exactly.
other than it looks to be at
Exactly.
first glance.
Yeah.
Good, good. So those numbers that you have, where does that put us in terms of those comparable or comparative towns? In terms of, where are we there? Are we at
It
the
puts
90th?
us within 90%. It
yeah.
puts us 90% of
The
what their
average?
minimum is. I used the directors usually don't have a min and a max. But I, wherever I could, I used the
Right.
minimum starting, because that was still higher than where everybody was now. And then so it's 90% of that.
And what does that break out to as an aide's hourly rate?
Well, it shows it on the payroll thing.
Yeah, I thought the 1354 is what I thought I was seeing, right.
Yeah.
And I'm looking at McDonald's employees that are working for $15 an hour. I just, sticker shock going along with my Big Mac on that one.
Well-
McDonald's has more money than the town of Dudley, though.
I'm sorry?
McDonald's has more money than the town.
Yes, they do.
Absolutely.
They have a few more locations, too.
Yeah.
Okay, so the only difference on number 2, did I answer your question?
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you.
Is the Saturdays, and there's no difference in mine and Kathy's because we're salaried, and so we would take one of the Saturdays but I do need 2 people to operate the library,
Right.
and so I have to factor that in. And Tasha was hired with the notion that she would be the permanent Saturday person, September through June, and then I would need to rotate through another staff member on the other Saturdays. So,
You may have answered this question in the past, and I've forgotten that. If we have 2 people in the library, staffing the library on Saturday, and one of them has to leave, we shut the library down?
yep,
Oh.
unless they call me.
Yeah,
And I come
someone else
in.
can come in, yeah.
No? Okay.
Yeah, that was a policy decision by this board several years ago.
Yeah, many years ago.
Yeah.
I know at
Just
Killingley,
not
Killingly's
safe.
1 floor and theirs is 3.
I've been here 9 years and it was prior to my getting on board.
Yeah. So,
It's just a
that,
safety issue.
oh yeah, absolutely.
And the hours of operation on Saturday, we were thinking in terms of from when to when and how long?
The hours would go back to what they were, and that was 10 to 2.
10 to 2.
And so we would need to get someone in there at 9:30, and because that's normal.
Mm-hmm.
You can't come in at 10 because you have to prepare, empty the book, drop, do other duties.
And you need some time after the 2 o'clock closing?
We don't pay them past that.
Okay.
So we lock the doors at 5 minutes of, or 10 minutes of, I can't remember which. But we need a certain amount of time to close.
Right.
Otherwise, I will have to pay the staff. You know, if it becomes, quarter after, then we're talking about, hey,
Mhm.
they have they're not working for free,
No.
despite what they think. So that's what I factored in, 10 to 2. And it would begin the Saturday after 4th of July weekend and continue to the Saturday before Labor Day weekend. 2 months off. And that's fairly common.
Mhm.
That's the only change for that, I think. I hope.
So when you say open Saturday, September to June, you really mean June to September?
No,
I just
No.
got confused.
no, September,
September,
there's
June.
2 months that
Oh,
we
in August.
off.
July and
Yeah.
August.
Yeah.
Oh,
For the
okay,
summer,
I got
yeah.
you, okay.
Just the reverse,
All right.
yeah.
During the school year, in other words.
Yeah,
Okay.
basically, yeah.
Exactly.
Because that's what you really need it for.
Okay.
In the
Yeah.
summertime, people are away.
Yeah.
Mhm.
That's the notion.
Right.
Okay, so that's the difference there. And by the way, I want to just mention that it's not just, when I calculate my aide salaries, it's not just, my 5 aides, taking the numbers, the hours they work during the week and multiplying by 52.2. It's that, plus I factor in, they do get prorated vacation. And I have to have another person come in to cover for them.
Sure.
So that gets factored in. So I basically take all of their vacation and put that number in there too.
And we have to because we're bare bones staffing.
Right.
Yeah.
We don't have extra staffing that
Yeah.
somebody's out of the building, we can live
Yeah, I
with.
can't
No.
do that. I would be doing all the extra duty, and
Mhm.
I did that the first year. Didn't go well.
Cost missed you.
Now, any questions on 2?
No.
Okay, number 3. This is my Hail Mary. I looked at some comparable, part-time adult services library. Actually, this is for an assistant. This isn't even an MLS. This would be an MLS candidate, a graduate student.
This is the intern that Mr. Joseph spoke of?
Yeah.
No. Oh, is it? An intern?
And by the way, the problem with an intern is that I'm constantly training somebody. I need someone, I mean, I'm not opposed to it, but I would love to get a candidate, someone who, maybe they would, after they graduate, they would stay on. And so I looked at and called some places and said, what do you pay these people? They may not, they're probably, most of them weren't MLSs yet, because for that, you're talking, more money. So this was what I felt was a good minimum. And
I
15,
think that's an excellent point that you
12
make.
to-
If you have an intern that you are training them or working with them,
more work for him.
it would
Yeah.
require
I wouldn't do
more
it.
time.
Yeah.
I think
You don't-
Mr. Joseph's idea was
No,
was
no.
trying to find something
I know.
for nothing, if you will.
Yeah.
I know. I take everything into consideration now. I'm open to all suggestions.
It was a thought.
So that's what that one is, and that should be the only difference on that one. And I did speak with the town administrator. He did ask me to send all three, if you guys are amenable.
What's your thought in terms of the availability of that person, someone with this MLS candidate? I guess, is that our preference? Is that what we'd be looking for? Someone with library experience with
Yeah.
an
Yeah,
MLS?
they would need that for that position.
That
Because
position,
they would be primarily helping with programming or taking on adult programming, maybe helping out a little bit with the teen programming, and collection development and maintenance. Those are really things that a professional adult services librarian does. But, I could get by with that. I think it would be great to have an MLS candidate, or even, I probably would get applicants who have their MLS who are looking for part-time
Part-time
and
work.
don't mind, like maybe someone who's scaling back.
Mhm.
I'm just basing this on interviews that I've conducted in my past positions in hiring reference librarians.
Oh, okay.
They run the gamut. You get past directors. I had the director of Yukon Libraries apply for a part-time reference librarian position at Killingly.
When you did your comparatives for the different area libraries of
Yep.
comparable size, staffing-wise, where did we fall in?
Oh, low.
Yeah.
And budget-wise, I didn't bring that spreadsheet with me, but I have that. I included that, and I'll probably include it with what I send up to Greg Hill
I
to see
would.
that.
Yeah.
Actually, I already did send it to him, so that, I just wanted to put it in context. These other libraries or these other towns, this is what the library budget is, allocated budget. And it's, they're all in the 350 to 350 and up, 310 and up. So
And it's mostly staffing.
exactly.
It's mostly staffing.
It's all salary.
We are very low on the totem pole when it
Right.
comes to
Well, that
staffing.
seems to be a characteristic common in everything that regards to.
Yeah, and it's not just the library. The whole
No,
town
it's
does a
all-
lot with
right.
a little.
Yes, we do.
So, and we really, that's the point we're trying to make is if we want to do that, we need to pay our people that are doing all of this work because we're going to lose them.
Right,
and,
the
you
greater
know.
pastures.
So,
So,
other questions?
great presentation,
Yeah.
great
You did
three
a great job,
budgets,
Karen.
and I would send all three up to our town administrator.
And he did say, he'll be wanting to have a conversation about them.
I mean, you pick one.
Now, what
What?
is the
I said,
process?
that's good.
They all go to
You
the
gotta
town
pick one.
administrator, he
I
would
said, just pick
review.
three and let's go.
Does he present one or all three? Or
So
just-
what happens next is, based on my conversation today with him, I told him what I had done, and I said, would you like to see all three? And he said, yes. And once I receive them, he's out, I think he's actually out tomorrow. So I'm assuming straight away next week, he said he would want to sit with me and ask questions. I've laid out a lot of this. He's.
This is a good dry run.
It was, yeah. So, he'll pick one.
Oh, he will. Do we need a motion to refer these to the town manager?
No.
No? Okay.
No, because she's charged, it's supposed to be in the budget. We
Just wondered whether the...
I really appreciate your feedback. I am grateful that I have such an intelligent group of people to vet my work.
We're grateful to
thanks.
have you, Karen.
Yeah, well,
Because I was cross-eyed by the time I finished this.
I'm sure you were.
It's only just begun.
I make a motion to... oh,
Wait a minute, hold on.
Straight to clip jigger. No, I'm just kidding.
I think we're deferring the,
Under old business, we have internet, cell phone, and food policy. We
Oh.
can defer that till next month.
or we
Oh.
got
No, I am not going to defer that.
Okay.
I spoke to the staff about that at our staff meeting on Friday, and we have decided to just leave it alone. We may not, we just may not, enforce the cell phone. We're going to be more allowable on the cell phone thing unless it's disturbing. But we didn't feel a need to actually make a formal change
Okay.
to
Do
anything.
you have daily occurrences with regards to cell phones and or food? Is that something that comes up every day?
Cell phones, do people use them every day in the library?
Well, to the point where you
Disturbing?
deem them disruptive, let's say.
I would say no. That's really a rarity, in my opinion.
Okay.
It doesn't happen every day. And if it does, we've decided as a group that we will approach the person and ask them to take the conversation outside or to keep it to a dull roar. And then with regard to the food and drink, we just felt that we hashed it all out and we just said, if it's somebody has a bottled water and it's capped, we might not say anything to them. If it's a big gulp with a top that pops off pretty easy, we're going to say something to them, so it's really what it boils down to is it's case by case, and but we really want to stick with, we want to encourage people not to bring their food and drink into the library because, I'll use my tax dollars pay for this library argument. Yes, your tax dollars do pay for this library. If your big gulp falls on that computer, then I have to, it's going to be a sticky mess.
Tax dollars.
And there you go. Right, exactly. So,
I would stay on this one. We may have to, just so nobody can come back to us with the policy and say, policy says this and you're doing this.
Yeah.
You may want to always think about how we may want to reword it
the only thing I
to
might...
allow you to do what you're doing.
I have to check, but I do want to continue to allow for library-sponsored events. So if I have a program in there and there's kibble being served, that's, to me, that's a library-sponsored event.
Right.
So to have that in there kind of gives me that ability and that verbiage, and that also kind of takes away the argument of, they have it.
Okay,
but
as long as you're
we-
comfortable
we
with that,
don't.
just,
Yeah, we really, we agonized over it.
I bet you did.
It's very tough. And the responses that I got from the listserv were all over the place.
Really?
Yeah. Now I have to respond to the listserv because so many people said, hey, would you let me know how you
Let me
made
know
out?
what you did.
Because- well, that's a common thing because that's
Everybody's
the
in
beauty-
the same boat.
That's the beauty of those listservs.
I think that cell phone issue is something that's going to become more and more of an issue as obviously as time goes on. You're thinking about bringing more youth. Kids
I think
in
it's
that
going to
middle
become
school,
less
high
of an
school grade
issue.
age in there.
Well,
I think these kids
more
are
of an era.
have them surgically attached by the time they've reached high school.
As Jerry said, it's going to become less of an issue, more of an occurrence.
A lot more of it.
So, yeah, it's just the way it
Again,
is.
it's the etiquette of the library, common sense.
Yeah, right,
The
exactly
etiquette
that.
of a library, just
Yeah.
use some common sense. You're
Yeah,
going to
yeah.
be yelling in your phone, go outside. But if you, as you say, we've heard before, they're looking on this screen to work on this screen,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
occasionally you have to go, how do I do this? You know.
And it's tax season,
Yeah.
and they're going to be coming in and using the computers for taxes. And by the way, we do have some tax forms in the library before we close. We've been getting phone calls. The IRS used to send us, every form under the sun so that we had piles and piles of them. And they have cut back way big. And now it's 1040, 1040A, 1040 EZ, and really that's it. and the instruction booklets, and we don't even get a lot of those. So if people are coming in the library and they need one form printed out, we'll be happy to print it out for them. We have a link on our computer. We'll try to be as helpful as we possibly can.
Should there be a cheat sheet for to hand to somebody saying, go on this site, read this, go on this site, and come up with the form you need, and
It's
push the button and print?
Yeah.
IRS.gov.
Yeah. Okay.
IRS, I know.
Okay,
it's
so you're
Type
just
in the
Send
form
them
you
here,
need,
yeah.
it's
very,
right up.
I know, it's
Okay.
easy to say, but a lot of the people are seniors and they're uncomfortable using the internet, they're uncomfortable using the computer.
So this is
we
correct.
offer that to them.
That's a good service.
Yeah. Yeah, it's stressful for people, trust me.
Oh,
Especially
tax-
seniors.
just taxes in general.
We will try to help it as best we can.
Alrighty, any other old or new business need come before us today? Our next meeting is February 23rd, which is back to our normal time. And if there is nothing else to be brought up, I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
So moved. In a second. All in favor?
Uh,
Thank you very much.